The episode was fantastic. Man. Okay, so where do we start? This episode was a flashback where they're giving us a breakdown of what happened 3 years ago. And back then, when scout ships were sent to Paradise, they managed to overwhelm them. I forgot how much I missed Hanj and just how quirky she is, right? And that entire skit she was trying to play with them, that they're just so nice and gentle people. But it's funny because Levi grew tired of it really quickly. But yeah, they apprehended these people that came to scout Paradise, and then they got information from them. When the dude got shot, at that moment I was like, what happened and why did he get shot? But then you find out that Yelena, she was instructed by Zeke to kill their superiors. Before he got killed though, I think just the hate and fire in his eyes, we saw that later in the episode, just how the Marlians and the Eldians, they both suffer from the same thing. I think the episode for the most part was about trust, and about who do you trust, who can you trust, and who will you trust. I think for both sides, well, mostly for the Eldians, they're still trying to figure that out. Even for Yelena, they were saying, well, whether friend or foe, we can't trust her, right? And in this episode, they were spamming Sasha, and it was just ramping up the feels of how you felt about Sasha and just how much you cared about her. And you just remember just the comedic moments and the comedic value she brought to the story. And somebody said this last week in the comment section, because there can be gems in the comment section from time to time when people aren't spoiling everything. They said that Sasha is the final nail in the coffin in regards to comedic value in the series, and it's showing a shift when you think about what's going to happen. What Yelena brought to the Eldians, well, Paradise, not just Yelena, every one of them, they brought information, and they mentioned that they were ignorant without this information, and they helped them a lot. When they asked them about Marley and why they didn't attack for so long, they mentioned the pure Titans, and that even if they attacked with weapons, those Titans, it would hinder an assault. And then, beautiful irony, that ended up being the reason why they can't attack. I like that the Eldians, they surprised the Marlians by just how much of the Titans they wiped out, and they're surprised because they don't know about Levi yet at this point. They don't understand that they have a Levi and a Mikasa, but they're surprised that they wiped out possibly all of these pure Titans. For Yelena, she said that Zeke told them to kill their superiors and that Zeke has a plan. And that leads us to the scene with Krista. For me personally, again, I don't read a manga, so everything is just straight up anime. For me, it reminded me of the last time they were there, that I remember. When Eren remembered about the pure Titan, but he didn't speak up and say anything to protect Krista. After they mentioned about the pure blood and the founding Titan, he stood up and said, well, I remember when I clashed, and you saw that he realized something or remembered something when they talked about it, Zeke's plan. And he put two and two together, like, that must have been Dina Fritz, my father's former wife, Zeke's mom. He immediately stood up. Armin recognized something, because Armin, again, is very perceptive. He recognized that Eren realized something, but this time Eren stood up. And regardless of the consequence, he said, well, this is what I remember. And of course, he's worried about Krista, but now having more than a hunch, he can say it confidently. But also, to me, this is showing a change in Eren, that Eren is much more of a risk taker than he was back then. I mean, he was always a risk taker, right? He was always somebody that was a trailblazer, trying to be fiery and do the right thing. But there's an obvious change going on within Eren. And we saw that, in real time in what he did to the Marlians. And this transition to Armin talking about what they had to do. Eren forced their hand by what he did, by going there. And they said, well, if we didn't help him, he was going to do it regardless. So worst case, we lose Eren. Like, something bad was going to happen no matter what. So we had to do it. So then, when you go and you lose Sasha, it's like, man, it was a lose-lose situation. Even though, by destroying the port, Marley can't immediately attack them. But man, it's sad because in the flashback, you see Niccolo's and Sasha's relationship. But again, you realize just how important Sasha is to the story. She provides a level of excitement and just randomness that I'm gonna miss. Even after her death, Niccolo, and I mentioned the Marlian and them having fire in their eyes, we saw an Eldian with fire in his eyes after Niccolo showed up to pay his respects to Sasha. I think, again, it goes back to trust. It was a montage of them showing that they can work together, because if we look past Eldian and Marlian, we can see that they're just people. But I think that's a bit hypocritical, because how long did it take for them to look past Eren, knowing that he was a Titan? It took a while for them to trust him. So now, knowing that they're one of them and they can transform into Titans as well, imagine people that can't do that, the Marlians. It's going to be a lot more apprehensive, a lot more cautious for them. And this reminds me of the scene that time when Erwin grabbed Eren and he said, "Who do you think are the real enemy?" That's when things are going on in Paradise in regards to the government and Eren and the Survey Corps, where it was political influx. And so this makes me think about the future, and I don't see a possible solution here. Because the Marlians are always going to question the aliens, and the aliens will never forgive the Marlians. It's like the enslaved, they will never forgive the slavers. No matter what, I think things are gonna end in despair. There's nothing here that they can do to make this work out because the history is too fresh, it's too much history, and they will never look past what they are. And Eren was talking to Mikasa and Armin, and they were saying, well, you know, things could be better if they look past the fact that we're Titans. And he's like, well, they're not wrong. We are Titans. We can transform into these devils. We might be devils. And for Armin just being so thoughtful and talking about the different paths, he realizes a change in Eren. And I think Eren realizes it as well. It's a very sad episode. The tone, the setting, even with the flashback and how that picked up your spirits, you felt sad because, you know, again, this is a flashback. Sasha's no longer with us. That scene with Niccolo and Sasha's parents, perfect, amazing. And the fact that they were so open and welcoming to a Marlian just shows the type of person that, you know, Sasha was, and that she was raised by great people. Amazing scene. Niccolo, you know, a newcomer, but transforming into one of the characters that I'm looking to see just how he progresses. Now Zeke's and Levi's back and forth, man, two alphas. The banter back and forth, it's like they're throwing shots. And it's like, they're used to go at each other, obviously, right? I mean, Levi got the upper hand both times. One was kind of planned. However, the scene towards the end when Yelena, they brought the serum to Pixies, and Pixies is still being an MVP, being the voice of reason, pushing the agenda, the proper agenda forward. But there's so much that he can do. But he you know, he gave him some nice words saying that we're ignorant, you gave us hope. We're no better than devils, which they are not. Because again, we know just how toxic things are within the walls. But then even in the midst of that conversation, you pan out and the guns that they say were meant for the aliens' freedom, they're using them to, you know, to hold these Marlians captive. But for Pixies, I get it. And for the aliens, I get it. It's really hard to trust the Marlians. It doesn't matter how long you've shown to be trustworthy. You've done that before with Reiner and Annie and Berthold. It's hard to trust you guys. Of course, they're not Marlians, but they came from that country. That's Gabby and Falco. Falco has a future. Gabby has pure hate within her at this point. Gabby is seeing red. All she wants to do is to kill Eren Yeager, because for Eren, well, to her, Eren is the reason why things are never going to be the same again. And we saw it with Falco. He's looking towards the window, right? Where it's like there's some hope for him. Where Gabby, she doesn't care about that at this point. Everything on her mind, the only thing on her mind right now is Eren Yeager and how can I kill him? But Gabby's just like Eren. She saw her dream crumble right before her very eyes. And for Eren, he saw his mom die right before his very eyes. I mean, Armin, again, about everything they accomplished in Marley, it's sad, but it had to be done. It absolutely had to be done. They would have retaliated. So I think what this episode did was give us the almost a bird's eye view of just how messed up things are right now. It's funny seeing Annie in that crystal still 5 years later. I'm surprised she's still alive, but you know, Titans, they're different. But how much longer does Annie have? I'm really interested to see where this goes, because for Eren, the only way to live is to fight. That's what he's thinking. So he's not stopping at all. And then even though he killed innocent civilians and multiple people, it seems like he's just like, whatever. The only way to live is to fight. And it seems like the plan that Zeke has and Yelena, the plan is to threaten the rumbling, to hold the world captive and to protect Paradise. I mean, I get that, but they will become the devils that they're perceived to be, which for Eren, he thinks he has to be that. It reminds me of Sasuke, when his plan was to become the one person that everyone hates so that everyone else can come together. Interesting concept, but once you're gone, then what, right? It's too much of a plan with not very good foundation. It's idealistic. It never works out that way. But man, we'll see where it goes. Let me know what you guys think, man. Very, very good episode. Of course, not as shocking as the previous one where someone like Sasha dies, but just as important and impactful. A funny moment was when Sasha asked the black dude, like, why is your skin black? And I was like, whoa, Sasha? What? I mean, for her, not seeing a lot of black people is kind of like, yo, why do you look that way? And if you see that scene when Jean looked at her, it was like, What? Why are you asking that question? But Sasha's always been blunt. So again, very good episode. Let me know what you think. Make sure to like the video if you did. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Follow me on Twitter at BravoD.Ace. Follow me on Instagram at BravoD.Ace. Thank to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much, guys. Again, like and subscribe. I'll catch you in the next one.
I start doubting me, I felt lost.